Welcome to Harvest to Pour, the business of beverages, with your host, Matthew Shipp. This is the podcast for all of those who are involved in the agriculture all the way to the distribution of beverages. And now your host, Matthew Shipp.
Hello and welcome to Harvest to Pour. I'm your host, Matthew Shipp, and today I am here with Blake Ottomeyer, the founder of Bean Sprout Coffee Company. It's a premier full-service espresso and cocktails, bringing specialty coffee experiences to corporate events, celebrations, and gatherings from across the St. Louis area. Welcome to the show, Blake.
Thanks, Matt. Glad to be here.
All right. Well, thanks for being here. And tell us a little bit about yourself and how Bean Sprout Coffee came into being and as your business.
All right. So I'm Blake, as you said. Bean Sprout is about 4 years into business now. We started in 2022. Started with just myself. We started with one cart, and today we're at 3 carts, working constantly, working on getting a couple more going. Been a long way.
So you have your business is coffee carts. So you
Yep.
take those to different events and different social events and such.
Right. So we do everything from corporate events,
Mhm.
weddings, private parties, you name it. Anything
Okay.
private is what we specialize in. And our entire goal through every event is to create an experience with the guest. So more than just serving coffee,
Mhm.
we try and connect and be personal, go the extra mile, not just with our guests, but also with other people on like the catering team and anybody behind the scenes as well.
Okay. And so what gave you the idea to where did you see the need here in St. Louis area for something like this?
So actually, the idea of Bean Sprout started up in Minnesota.
Oh.
That's where my sister lives. Originally, we were going to open up a coffee shop in Minnesota. We had all the plans ready to go, and she actually decided to move in a different direction.
Mhm.
She got a really good corporate job offer, you know how it is, and she bailed on me.
Oh,
This is when I was, I think, 19 at the time.
okay.
So I'd been working like nonstop the last couple of years, saving up money, but I had no way of just forking over getting a loan for like $500,000
hmm
to start a coffee company. So what we had so far is the idea of a coffee shop. We had the name Bean Sprout, which my sister is very proud of coming up with, because we were originally going to do a plant and coffee shop.
hmm
So
Okay.
I took that and I kind of switched it to what I could do,
Mhm.
which was create it into a mobile event experience.
Okay.
So keeping with the name, I loved it. I think it's cool to think of how like we're sprouting up all over the place,
Yeah.
just here and there, and just going along with the name, thinking of how we're going to grow and where we want to be in the next couple of years. Because our goal is to grow and expand a little bit more outside of St. Louis as well. So
Okay. Excellent.
yeah, with that idea, I ran with it. I started my first cart with about like $20,000 just cash that I had saved, and went from there.
So did you buy or build your own cart?
The first one I bought, and my other sister, Lauren,
Uh-huh.
her and I, we drove from St. Louis, Missouri to Pennsylvania
Wow.
and back
Okay.
in one day to go pick up this cart.
It's like
and
22
like-
hours of driving.
Yeah. We drove there and back nonstop to go pick up a cart, an espresso machine, and then a grinder to get us started.
Okay. And had you had any prior experience as a barista before you took this leap?
Yeah. So
Okay.
my first experience as a barista was actually with Crooked Tree Coffee in St. Charles. It was a learning experience, I think is the best way to put it. Their style is significantly different than what my style is, but
Mhm.
I think they did a great job of pushing me in a direction so I'd be able to learn on my own. Something
Okay.
that's often said in the coffee industry is like, once you get into coffee, it's like a rabbit hole that you just keep going, keep wanting to learn. And I definitely found myself falling into that. And I think that's what led me to want to start my own cart.
Okay. Okay. So, and how long before the second cart came along? And did you build that one? Because you said you bought the first one. How did the second one come to be?
So in commission right now, we've got 3 carts. The 3 carts in commission right now have all been built by Simple Cart Systems. So
Okay.
we design them, they build them. We're also working on 2 more right now, starting up a branch of Bean Sprout in Minnesota.
Okay.
So
Oh.
we're working on and finalizing our design for those 2 because we don't want to keep going with the Simple Carts. I love them, but
Yeah.
I definitely want to have our own
Okay.
thing.
Okay. So you're gonna try to rope your sister back in by sending one up there?
Absolutely, yeah.
All right.
And
Okay.
then
So what were some of the initial challenges you found getting into this? So your intent, I'm guessing here, was to start serving events and being able to be as mobile as you would be. What were some of the roadblocks you ran into?
I think the biggest challenge was probably figuring out how to do plumbing, electrical, and all that in a mobile setting.
Mhm.
I did handyman work for a couple, like for about 6 to 8 months, working with another gentleman for a while, and I learned a lot, got a lot of experience with that. But figuring out in a mobile setting how to run an espresso machine and plumbing was difficult. And that's still probably the most difficult thing we've run into because
Okay.
going to new venues and new places, everybody has a different setup for power. They have a different setup getting in and out of the building, parking, stuff like that. So we really focus on in our process on getting all the details before we get to an event to make sure we minimize all of those problems.
So you
But
okay. So you kind of bring this flexible toolbox with you.
oh yeah, absolutely. We definitely have a tool like in our van. We have a toolbox to fix and solve all of the problems. And one of the great things about our cart is that it can break down. So
Uh-huh.
like we've gotten one of our questions on our our questionnaire is like, hey, is this ADA accessible? Because everything we want to do, everything we move is on wheels.
Mhm.
So like we've gotten to a place like, yeah, it's ADA accessible. Don't worry about it. And there's like this extremely skinny, like not ADA accessible door, or like it's only stairs,
Okay.
stuff like that. I was like, oh, I thought there was a ramp. It's like,
Oh, geez.
so stuff like that is probably our biggest challenge when
Okay.
it comes to getting in and setting up.
All right.
Um,
Cool. That's so yeah. So building those in, and so were there any other challenges that surprised you along the way?
the
You just
biggest
did-
challenge and something that we still run into is finding people that fit our personality for Bean Sprout.
Okay.
So if you have any recommendations, let me know. But
All right.
go,
We're going to get into some team building here because this is a very
Yeah.
unique situation you're in. I definitely want to dive into that. So before we get there, I think this will get us there along the way. I always like to take people through their harvest support journey. So if you are a beverage producer, in this case, I'm talking about, harvesting your ingredients, make them uniquely yours, and the pour is the marketing. In your case, it's a little bit of both. So you get your beans locally, but not just from one source. Is that correct?
right. So from the start, I knew that there were better people than I at producing and roasting coffee. I enjoy roasting coffee. I have a blast doing it, but there's people who can specialize and do it better than I can.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought it would be a great idea to present them in new places and new venues outside of where they normally present themselves.
Mhm.
So what we do when it comes to coffee sourcing is we partner with a bunch of different local roasters. We've got on our base team, we have 3 that we use for
Mhm.
most of our events. But overall, in total, I was checking the other day just for this, and we partnered with 12 different coffee roasters
That's
in
awesome.
total so far. So
Okay.
yeah, we source from a bunch of different local guys, and
Mhm.
then we use them for all of our events. Anybody who we're partnered with, if they refer an event to us, we're going to turn around and use their coffee for that event. So it bridges the gap of having sort of a mediocre experience with that roaster just dropping off drip coffee and it's cold in half an hour.
Mhm.
And it's just this not super great experience. There's not somebody there personable, talking and interacting with guests. So
Mhm.
we get the benefit of having quality roasted coffee that the guest is going to love, because if they're recommending it, they probably like their coffee. They'll
Mhm.
send us recipes and stuff to use from their coffee. And then they get the benefit of having their coffee well represented
Mhm.
often they'll go through and train us on whatever roast profile they give us,
Hmm.
all their recipes, how they want it presented. So then they know for sure it's being presented in the best way possible.
So you not only just take the coffee and the roasted beans, but you learn from the roaster or the coffee shop how they want their coffee presented, and you do your best
Right.
to duplicate that.
Yep.
All right.
In
Wow,
a mobile way.
that is cool. And this rolls right into how you make it uniquely yours. You just mentioned events and bringing specialty roast coffee from different sourced areas in St. Louis to your events. How is that received, and how do you make your event? What makes your coming to their event special, and how is it different?
So a couple different ways that we specialize and set ourselves apart is, I know it's said often, but the customer experience.
Mhm.
And we're still constantly working on this because we always want to get better. But our customer experience, I think, is something that's severely lacking, even in the event industry. Like you go to a wedding and, let's say a coffee cart isn't there and you're just going to the bar. Like that
Mhm.
is just a transaction. There's nothing more. You're just going up, getting a drink, moving on. I find it very rare that you're actually interacting or having an experience with a bartender. Same thing I see a lot in coffee shops nowadays as well. I'm still on the line with like, the turnaround screen, leave a tip option.
Mhm.
That's It's a huge debate whether, you love it, hate it, you want your baristas to get paid well.
Mhm.
But I think that, along with a couple other things, it's a huge barrier when connecting
Mhm.
with people. So something we found out through trial and error is, and Zumiez has, are you familiar with Zumiez, the clothing brand? They have
Mhm.
7 steps on how to interact with guests. And my sister originally brought this to me because she used to work for Zumiez in corporate, and their 7 steps are like fantastic. We kind of use it as a guideline for how we interact with guests. And it's all about going to the guest first
Mhm.
and meeting them where they're at. Meeting them where they're at, picking apart something about them that you can connect with.
Mhm.
And then as a secondary, it's serving them, figuring out how you connect them with your product.
Oh, wow.
So
Okay. Well, that's cool. And then you've employed that, and how does that work? How do you feel that your clients have a better experience?
absolutely. So, I mean, all of our reviews can kind of speak for themselves in that
Mhm.
sense. But every time we go to an event, we're always the first to help somebody. Even like before we even start serving, we've built in 15 minutes just to serve like the back end staff, whoever it is.
Awesome. It's a great idea.
So, because if we want everybody to have like a good experience at an event that we're at, everybody's got to be on the same page. They got to be in a good mood. And we find that like getting everybody coffee right off the bat is a great way to start that. So like that's one end. Another end is just coming out from behind the bar. So it's something that you don't see like using a coffee shop as an example.
Mhm.
A lot of the time the barista is stuck behind the bar,
Mhm.
and we feel that it's hard to connect with somebody when you're behind a bar and you have that physical barrier. So we almost always run 2 baristas for an event. So we'll have one making drinks and then the other one will come out from behind the bar to actually meet the guest where they're at and have a personal conversation. So it's not, oh shoot, I got to order. Sometimes
Mhm.
people get stressed with that. It's kind of separating yourself from that possibly stressful or anxiety scenario
Okay.
when ordering.
And now a word from our sponsors. Are you ready to try something refreshingly different? Bluebird Hard Water is not your typical beverage. It's a clean, non-carbonated alcoholic water crafted with simple, pure ingredients, no preservatives, no added fluff. Just quality you can taste without the fog, the bloat, or the regret. Whether at the beach, on the golf course, or just relaxing at home, Bluebird Hard Water is a perfect companion for your active lifestyle. Check out Bluebird Hard Water today at bluebirdhardwater.com to find out more about their story and where you can grab a can. The link is in the show notes, so don't miss it. Bluebird Hard Water, keeping it simple, clean, and refreshing every time. Small business owners, which path are you on? Path 1, the bridge is out. That's where 50% of businesses fail, taking savings and credit with them. Or is it path 2, the road to nowhere, the long hours, low pay, no exit? Essentially, you make yourself another job. Or path 3, the success path, where your business grows, generates recurring revenue, and becomes a valuable asset. At Anchor My Business, we help you build a credit using your company's EIN, kind of like your company's social security number. This separates your personal and business finances by obtaining financing or credit that is not backed by collateral, such as your home, car, or other personal assets. And then you become truly bankable, so your business stands strong, independent of personal guarantees. Take our free pre-qualification assessment today and see where your business stands. Are you ready to anchor your business for success? Visit the link in the show notes and start your journey on the success path. Don't let the storm blow you off course. Anchor your business and secure your future. Hey, are you spinning your wheels trying to figure out what will really boost your business's bottom line? At Emberry Solutions, our Profit Priority Workshop is here to cut through the noise. We help you zero in on what truly matters, aligning your team, optimizing your processes, and magnifying your profits. Imagine your business running smoother than ever, with every decision and effort leading straight to increased profits. That's what focusing on the right priorities can do. Ready to boost your efficiency and profits? Visit Emberry Solutions and let's start making your business work smarter. At Emberry Solutions, we take your business from bottlenecks to breakthroughs. And do you have opportunities, since you're going to different places, to do some education as well?
Yeah, so we've only done one education event so far. We'd love to do some more,
Okay.
but it was a lot of fun. We went and did a pour over class, taught a little bit about the coffee, just kind of created an entire experience around learning how to do pour over, how easy it is, because often people are like, oh, that seems like a lot of work. But in reality, like your pour over is going to take just as much time as your drip coffee to brew in the morning. Once you get it down, it's a breeze, and it's kind of like a relaxing, always like meditative thing to do in the morning.
I totally agree. I make a flash brew, and for who doesn't know what that is, it's just an iced version of a pour over for my wife every morning, and I get to sit there and make it and pour it over. And it's just kind of it's kind of a little meditative. Your 5 minutes of everything chaos behind you with getting a kid ready for school and wife's getting ready for work. I'm just sitting here happily pouring it, and nobody's bothering me because I'm making them coffee. So yeah,
exactly. Like even when I'm going to an event at like 5 a.m. before I leave, I will still do a pour over to start my day, as opposed to just getting out the door.
Yeah. Excellent. So we're going to move on to, and you said there's a lot of event stuff, and they'll find out more about that. But we're getting into the pour. Now, when I talk about the pour, I like to talk about the marketing. In your situation, how did you get yourself into the corporate space, event space, amongst all the other people doing planning and events and catering? How did you build your network towards that to start to get, returning clients?
So with the name Bean Sprout, still looking to grow. I'm still trying to get in because St. Louis is in some ways super disconnected, it feels like. But thankfully, so the first year, I think we maybe did 1 or 2 corporate events the entire year.
Okay.
It was awful, but I had time to learn. I was working another job at the time. The second year, it really blew up with corporate events. And then this year, it's been really well so far. Just this week, we've got 4 going on. So It's definitely starting to pick up a little bit. But with corporate events, I think the most important thing for us, because we haven't done any marketing, is word of mouth. So that whole experience and connection, it kind of jumps from one event to the next. So one person at an event will go tell their friend, like, hey, I just had this great experience. I know you guys are looking for something at the office or at this expo. You guys should call Bean Sprout Coffee, get them in. I think it was a great experience.
So this is mostly through referral then, and it's just kind of populated and grown off itself.
Yeah, everything right now we do is referrals. We've yet to pay for any marketing or ads, which is our goal for this year, which is get our marketing up, get our ads up, as we were talking about a minute ago, because that is definitely a weakness with us right now. Okay.
And have you, since you just said you're 3 years in or 4 years in?
Okay. 3 years going to 4.
Okay.
We started in March of 22.
All right. So you've had return events yet, or
Yeah.
Okay, great. So you actually have maintained
so with corporate stuff,
Mhm.
so like for example, like Worldwide Technology is one of our
Mhm.
big ones that
Okay.
they keep booking us
Mhm.
over and over for their clients, and
Okay.
that for me is like an ideal event where
Okay.
we know the venue, like
Uh-huh.
we know their staff, like they're like, oh, hey, Bean Sprouts in again, stuff like that. Like I think that building those relationships is probably my favorite part.
Okay. So, well, as you're growing, obviously growing more and more, you're going to need more coffee carts and a bigger team.
Right.
So, you were talking about earlier in the internet, as we were talking, of finding people. So, when they come in, are you looking for, how do you start building your team? What do you start looking for in a team? Is it experience first and character second? Say you're looking for a character type, then you can train them. How do you approach your hiring?
Character first, always
Okay.
character first. I learned that while running my first coffee shop. When I did my opening team, a couple of people I didn't hire character first. I hired
Mhm.
experience,
Mhm.
and I don't think they were the right fit for the cafe
Okay.
that I was running at the time. And I learned a lot from that because at the time it was a 8-person team. 2 of them were experienced. The other 6 had no coffee experience at all. And the other 5 of the 6, not all 6, 5 of the 6 killed it. Like I think
Awesome.
they were phenomenal because more like I can teach somebody coffee. Anybody
Mhm.
can learn coffee.
Mhm.
There's plenty of information out. It's just repetition
Mhm.
and just getting that knowledge base. Character and being able to create an experience with the guests, that desire to want to connect with somebody through like hospitality is
Mhm.
something that I think is hard to build. If you know how to build that in somebody, I'd love to know.
Okay.
But I've yet to be able to figure out how to like get somebody to go out of their way. I
Okay.
find that either it's there or it's not. I'm looking for somebody who already has that there.
All right. So I will. So you're at that level of starting to grow and build your team. The people you do have, what are their kind of their founding characteristics that really help you?
So pretty much all of we only have one full-time person.
Okay.
Everybody else is going to be an independent contractor
Mhm.
that we have. So they're pretty much everybody's defining trait is flexibility on our end.
Mhm.
So, and we ask for the same thing on their end. So
Mhm.
we work a lot with our team to make sure that we're able to commit to events
Mhm.
and execute them well,
Mhm.
especially like when you get a last minute event. It's great to see the team. You're like, oh yeah, I've got that one. No
Okay.
problem. I'll make that work. So I think flexibility is what I look for a lot in the team members. Besides that, I'm looking for, I think I'm losing the word to describe it, almost humility
Okay.
in somebody.
Mhm.
Because a lot of the job, like it's not as easy as it sounds to just set up a coffee cart. It's exhausting. So being able to be humble when like, wow, that valet was really mean when you were trying to park the van and like not reacting to that, stuff like that, where you're like, this is your second event of the day, you're
Mhm.
exhausted and you still have the desire to serve everybody and get them going for whatever event you're at. I think that's what I look for the most in a
Excellent.
person,
Okay.
just that
Great.
ability to connect.
Yeah. Okay. So that's a very good piece. I'm asking for the sake of somebody else listening here in another state that wants to do exactly what you're doing, or something along those lines. Just
Right.
these are all behind the scenes notes. I want other businesses to take in. Also, I'll actually give you this, and I think I maybe even mentioned this to my last guest, but it doesn't hurt mentioning again because we're bringing up team. There's somebody, he's actually local. He's a cocktail bar owner, and he always has his people come in. One of the first questions he asks them is, "If you were a car, what kind of car would you be?" And he says you can learn a
Okay.
lot from the person by what car they're going to be, for the personality. So if somebody
Interesting.
wants
I'm
to
gonna
be a
write that
Ferrari, it's
down.
like, okay, maybe you're not the best fit for a coffee or cocktail, or that's the attitude you're coming to the business with. So it was, it's interesting, and I kind of like sharing that one around. I think that's a really good one when people bring up building their team. Yeah, go ahead.
I've only been like on the, I don't like the word management too much. It sounds kind of negative, but
Uh-huh.
I've only been on like the management side for the last 4 years.
Uh-huh.
So I'm still trying to learn and develop my ability to manage. And I've
Yeah.
been looking for a question like that because
Okay.
I love that because it is hard, like in an interview,
Mm-hmm.
to pick out whether they have good character or whether they're just putting on a show for this interview situation.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So like, to answer your question better than I did a second ago, one of the things we do is trial by fire.
Okay.
So especially if they have barista experience, which is great. I'd love to have barista experience, but we want to test that character.
Mm-hmm.
So if they have barista experience, we will just throw them right on register,
Uh-huh.
minimal rundown, like at our farmer's market, not at one of
Mm-hmm.
our private events.
Okay.
We'll give them a rundown beforehand, an hour before, throw them on a register and see how they interact with guests. So for me, that is a direct example of what their character will be when interacting with guests. So like when we onboard someone because they're interested, we're like, hey, come out to this event. Let's test you. Let's see how we're doing.
Okay.
So beforehand, we'll give them that rundown. We'll be like, hey, if you get overwhelmed at any point, stop.
Mm-hmm.
We'll sub in with you. But like, let's see what you can do at this event. Ask any questions. We're right here for you. And then just let them go. And so far, that's worked really well to weed out people who are like, this is overwhelming. This is too much. Like, or like they get short with guests, stuff like that, rather than break off. Because like one of the things that we're super specific on is we always have that 2-person team.
Mm-hmm.
So if someone gets stressed out with a guest because they're serving, we'll switch them out with the person making drinks. So we get that little relief system because it can be over, even for personal people, serving like guests for 5 hours straight. It's a lot. It is a lot.
I like how you've worked off of your observations and learning from this and how you're cycling people in. Yeah, because there's only so much, especially as somebody who likes serving people but might be an introvert. They need to recharge that battery from time to time. Right,
which is me all the way. So like I really, like my first couple of years in customer service, I really had to like I was so bad at register. Like I had like a set of questions that I'd ask people just to try and get that flow going, just to build up my knowledge of customer service and like interacting with people. I used to literally have a list of questions like, oh, ask this person as basic as how's your day going type questions.
Yeah.
And at the first coffee shop I worked at. And I just had to slowly put in the words. Yeah. But as long as that person that we're looking into hiring has that desire to, that was cool. I think I could have done this better. Like I want to learn. As long as they have that idea to want to learn, that want for hospitality and connection, I think that's what we're looking for.
Great. All right. So we're going to move on from building your team. And I'm just kind of curious, where do you want to take your business next?
Far away.
Far away.
So we've got a couple different goals. As we were talking, I think one of them for this year is marketing is definitely something we want to do because we want to grow. But the more we can grow, the more full-time people I can hire, which is my goal. So I really want to get a full team that doesn't have to have another job. I really want that, as much as that is like a lot because I have to provide for them now. Like if Bean Spread doesn't do well, that's on me, and that can affect their families and their friends. So my goal is to try and build that. That's a 10-year goal, is to have 8 full-time employees that I have just working all the time. So I definitely think I can complete that in 10 years.
10 years.
That's one big goal. Another big goal was to go further than we did last year, which we already did last week. We went to Kansas City. That's our furthest event so far. It's 3.5 hours away is where we went. That was a blast. Made some great connections over there. At the event we went to, we made some great connections with people up in Minnesota, over in Kansas, over in like Oklahoma, as well as Arkansas, that were all interested in shipping us in those directions. So that's our second goal, is to grow out and spread out outside of St. Louis. Yeah. Spread out regionally. And then lastly, it's to grow the team in the sense of making sure we have all quality team members on our team. So I want to, long term, I want to get 8 full-time people, but right now still trying to find more solid members of our team.
Okay. And what advice would you give to someone who wants to start a beverage business or a cart-based beverage business or an event business like yours?
I would definitely do your research. Thankfully, we were one of the first ones in St. Louis,
Okay.
and I think we quickly outdid our competition. There is 2 other carts
Mhm.
in the area that we kind of compete with right now that
Mhm.
we are, I think, crushing, which is great. So I definitely say do your research because a lot of the markets right now are super competitive.
What did your research inform you that make you feel that you're doing much better?
So we've actually connected with the other businesses because as much as I am competitive,
Mhm.
uh, same sense of like connecting with roasters, I love to connect with the other carts. So
Okay.
there's actually a little thing that a coffee cart company called Night Owl Coffee puts on,
Mm-hmm.
pretty much like yearly or bi-yearly, where they invite all the other coffee carts in the country together,
Mhm.
and then we all just sit there and network. So
That's
we're all
awesome.
open, we're all honest, we compare, we work together. Like, oh, I found like this year this was really working for me. Like this marketing strategy really worked. Hey, have you guys tried using like this pump system or this espresso machine,
Mhm.
stuff like that. So that's how I originally met the other 2 competitors in St. Louis.
Okay. Make a quick note. Okay, so I got just a couple more questions, and this one's kind of fun. What is your favorite beverage?
Coffee based or not coffee based?
It can be so. Let's go with what's your favorite beverage when you're working with your cart, and what's your favorite beverage when you're out in the town?
When I'm working on my cart, it is a cortado.
Hmm.
It is definitely my favorite. It's going to be double shot of espresso and equal parts steamed milk.
Okay.
It's fast, it's quick. It's kind of like the barista's choice drink. It's great when I don't just want to drink more straight espresso while I'm dialing in, but I also don't want something as heavy as a latte most of the
Mhm.
time because I'm not going to have time to finish it because we're going to be busy in like 5
Mhm.
minutes. So
Mhm.
cortado all the way. When I'm going to other coffee shops, it's some sort of pour over. I'm a big, just black pour over fan.
Mhm.
You name it. I love trying that sort of stuff. But on the town, surprisingly, it's just root beer.
Hey,
That's my
we
go-to
got some
drink.
good root beer here in St. Louis, so
If we
yeah,
do, we do. Yeah. As a kid, I used to try and like go every time I go on a trip, I try and try like the local root beer in the area.
awesome.
So I'm a
Okay,
big root beer fan.
hey, that's nothing wrong with that. All right, and then finally, do you have any upcoming events or promotions, or where can people find you if they have an event coming up and they're curious?
So the best way to find us is on our website at beansproutcoffee.com.
Hmm.
That's where you can connect with us, ask about an event, and see where our future public events are. So right now, our only public event will be in April through November, and that's the Lake St. Louis Farmers Market. This year, we're considering doing more
Hmm.
public events since I'm full-time Bean Sprout now. I've quit
Right.
my coffee shop job running that. So we'll see where it goes this year. We're trying to connect with more people and more businesses. So
All right.
that's where you can
Well,
find us.
we'll have the link in the show notes if you want to check out Blake and Bean Sprout Coffee for your next event, or find out where they are out in town. Blake, this has been a really great interview. Thanks, Lon, for your time. I think we've learned a lot, especially I don't always get to interview somebody who's this new into it, and still learning, and those lessons are still fresh in their mind, and picking up off of other things. I really like the 7 steps of customer service and how you're seeing that need in the event space, and you're bringing that to it and making a big difference. And also not only competing with your competition, but learning from your competition. Really, really a good humbling thing. And then also taking that humbling aspect and bleeding that into your team and what you're looking for to grow your team, and then your great future goals, which I think you'll probably do that in 5 years, not 10 years. So just
That would
just
that
my
would be nice.
all right. Well, Blake, again, thanks for coming on Harvest to Pour, and we'll talk again soon.
Cool. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for listening to Harvest to Pour, the business of beverages with Matthew Shep. Check the show notes for our guest contact information and connect with Matthew Shep on LinkedIn today.